I need to borrow your car right quick.
What kind of shit is that? Most people want to borrow sugar, or even ketchup. You want to borrow my car? Hell no!
What happens when one of hip-hop's most hardcore voices decides to make people laugh instead of fear him? In 1995, a comedy was born that would change everything, but almost never made it to your screen. Friday wasn't just another 90s comedy. It was a rebellion, a statement. And behind those iconic laughs on that South Central porch lies a story filled with near disasters, secret feuds, improvised genius, and heartbreaking losses that would haunt the franchise for decades. You think you know Friday? Think again. From the actor who bombed his audition so badly he almost lost the role of a lifetime, to the million-dollar mystery that tore the cast apart, to the two-decade war that held the entire franchise hostage. These are the stories they never told you. Ready to step onto that porch? Let's go. Fact 1. Friday was born from frustration, not inspiration. Here's something most people miss. Friday wasn't created to entertain you. It was created to correct you. In the early 90s, Hollywood had one vision of Black Los Angeles neighborhoods, and it was dark. Boys and the Hood, menace to society, colors. Every single one painted the Hood as a war zone.
Yo, what's up, Trey?
What's up, Chris? Heard you like Mr. GQ Smooth now.
Violence, gangs, death. That's it. Ice Cube had even starred in Boys and the Hood, so he knew that world intimately. But here's what bugged him. Where was the laughter? Where were the regular days when nothing crazy happened except your friends smoking too much weed and your dad complaining about the price of ribs? Cube and his friend DJ Pooh remembered their actual childhoods in South Central. And you know what they remembered most? Laughing. A lot. So they made a decision that would risk Cube's entire reputation. They'd write a comedy. But this move put Ice Cube in an impossible position. Would fans accept this radical shift, or would they think he'd gone soft? Fact 2. Ice Cube risked his hardcore reputation to make this movie. Put yourself in Ice Cube's Nikes for a second. You're known as one of the most dangerous voices in hip-hop. You wrote "Da Police." You made Death Certificate, an album so controversial that people literally wanted it banned. Your image is everything in rap, and that image is "Don't mess with Ice Cube." Now imagine telling your crew, "Yo, I'm gonna make a comedy about a regular day in the hood where the biggest problem is paying back a weed dealer." People in his own circle questioned him when he released "It Was a Good Day," a song about one peaceful day. They asked why a hardcore rapper was talking about good days at all.
Oh, see that shit?
That's monster fuck.
I didn't even get my turn, man.
Come on, man, fix that shit, man.
The streets were supposed to be rough, 24/7, right? But here's what Cube understood that others didn't. He was a reality rapper, and reality includes joy, boredom, friendship, and, yes, comedy. Friday was his chance to show the world he was more than the angry young man they'd created in their minds. This was personal, this was risky, and it almost didn't happen at all. Fact 3. They almost funded the movie with credit cards. Want to know how scrappy this production was at first? Ice Cube and DJ Pooh were seriously considering pulling a Robert Townsend. Townsend famously funded his movie Hollywood Shuffle by maxing out multiple credit cards. Cube and Pooh thought they might have to do the same thing. They studied Kevin Smith's ultra-low-budget hit, Clerks, like it was a textbook. Their pitch? One location, small cast, black and white cinematography to save money. They were ready to make Friday as an indie film that might never see the inside of a real movie theater. The script they wrote was intensely personal. Craig getting fired on his day off for supposedly stealing boxes? That actually happened to Ice Cube's cousin, a delivery driver. Smokey's character? Based on DJ Pooh's own past dealing weed. Debo, Craig's parents, even the neighborhood crackhead, all inspired by real people they grew up with. Then, New Line Cinema read the script. They loved it. They agreed to fund it. But the studio had one massive demand, a demand that nearly killed the entire project before filming even began. Fact 4. The studio's demand almost destroyed the movie. New Line Cinema said yes to Friday with one condition. DJ Pooh could not play Smokey. Let that sink in. Smokey was based on Pooh's life. Pooh was naturally funny. He and Cube had written this together, but the studio said no. Pooh didn't have enough acting experience. They wanted a bigger name. This sent the production into crisis mode. DJ Pooh accepted the smaller role of Red instead, but who would be Smokey? They considered Chris Rock and Tommy Davidson, both established comedians. Then Ice Cube saw a young comedian on Def Comedy Jam. This kid was electric, high energy. He had what Cube called a hood way about him. His name was Chris Tucker, and Cube knew he was the one. But here's the crazy part.
Quit playing! Quit playing! Quit playing! Don't let me catch you, boy! Stop, man! Quit playing! Ah!
Chris Tucker's audition was an absolute disaster. Fact 5. Chris Tucker's first audition was so bad, it almost cost him everything. The casting director would later describe Tucker's first audition with one word: horrible. Tucker had just come off the road doing stand-up shows. He was exhausted. He hadn't properly read the script. He showed up unprepared and completely bombed. It looked like Cube's instinct was completely wrong. But director F. Gary Gray saw something special, a spark that everyone else missed. He fought for Tucker to get a second chance. The studio reluctantly agreed. Then something beautiful happened that most fans never learned about. A secret alliance saved Chris Tucker's career. Angela Means, the actress cast as Felicia, knew Tucker was struggling. She invited him to her house for dinner to help him prepare. Faison Love, who played Big Worm, later revealed that Tucker was terrified. He was convinced a bigger star like Dave Chappelle or D.L. Hewley would swoop in and take the role. Angela Means worked with Tucker all evening. By the time the spaghetti was gone, as she put it,
I talked to you for a minute.
What?
What?
Chris Tucker was Smokey. He went back for his second audition. He crushed it, and a comedy legend was born. But what would happen next on set would create moments of pure magic and plant the seeds of a feud that would last for decades. Fact 6. Most of Tucker's iconic lines were completely improvised. Here's something that will change how you watch Friday. Chris Tucker made up most of his famous lines on the spot. The filmmakers quickly realized they had a comedic genius on their hands. They gave Tucker freedom to improvise, and he took full advantage. That manic, unpredictable energy you see on screen? That's Tucker genuinely creating in the moment. But the most iconic line in the entire movie, "Bye, Felicia," came from a different kind of improvisation. Angela Means was supposed to walk up to the porch and have a conversation with Craig and Smokey, but she made a character choice no one saw coming. She decided Felicia would be the type of person who invades your personal space without asking. So without warning anyone, she sat down right between Ice Cube and Chris Tucker on that porch. Tucker's shocked, annoyed reaction? Completely real. He was genuinely irritated that she just plopped down between them. That authentic irritation made the scene legendary. When Ice Cube dismissively says, "Bye, Felicia," he's channeling real frustration and creating a phrase that would dominate internet culture for decades. Fact 7. The entire movie was shot in just 20 days. 20 days. That's all they had to capture lightning in a bottle. With a microscopic budget of less than $3 million, the pressure was enormous. Every single day counted. There was no room for error, no time for ego, and definitely no partying on set. Which leads to another surprising fact most fans don't know. Despite playing stoners, Ice Cube and Chris Tucker were not actually smoking weed during filming. Cube was the producer. This was his baby. He needed to stay sharp, focused, and in control. He wanted to make sure everything ran smoothly on his first movie as a producer. The weed they smoked on screen? Not even close to the real thing. This professionalism paid off. They stayed on schedule, stayed on budget, and created something that looked way more expensive than it was. But hidden in those 20 days were the debuts of future stars you probably never noticed. Fact 8. Future stars were hidden throughout the movie. Keep your eyes open during Friday and you'll spot some familiar faces before they were famous. A 13-year-old Megan Good appears as one of the neighborhood kids. Yes, the same Megan Good who would later star in Think Like a Man, Eve, and Harlem. But here's the cameo that blows people's minds. During a quick flashback scene showing a craps game, you can spot Michael Clark Duncan, years before he became a massive star in The Green Mile and earned an Oscar nomination. Duncan, the gentle giant who would become one of Hollywood's most beloved character actors, was just another struggling actor in 1995.
That's my boy, punk!
You got knocked.
His appearance in Friday is blink and you miss it, but it's there. Friday was a launching pad for careers in ways no one could have predicted. But as the movie wrapped, something was happening behind the scenes. A tension, a disagreement about credit, something that would eventually explode and change everything. Fact 9. Friday made $28 million on a $3 million budget and changed comedy forever. When Friday opened on April 26, 1995, no one knew what to expect. Would audiences accept Ice Cube as a comedian? Would this low-budget porch movie connect with people? The answer was a massive yes. Friday earned over $28 million at the box office, almost 10 times its budget. But more importantly, it did something revolutionary. It showed that black comedies could be commercially successful without relying on stereotypes or slapstick. It showed everyday life could be hilarious. The movie's influence rippled through Hollywood. It paved the way for shows like Everybody Hates Chris and movies like the Barbershop franchise. It proved that the hood had more stories than just violence and tragedy. Critics initially dismissed Friday as just another urban comedy, but audiences knew better. They quoted the lines. They wore the merchandise. They made Friday a cultural phenomenon. But success has a dark side. And for Chris Tucker, the price of becoming Smokey would become a burden he never expected. Fact 10. Chris Tucker was only paid $10,000 for Friday. John Witherspoon later revealed a shocking truth. The main actors on Friday were paid approximately $5,000 each. Chris Tucker's payday was reportedly around $10,000. Slightly more, but still shockingly low. $10,000 to create one of the most iconic characters in comedy history. But here's the thing. Nobody knew Friday would become what it became. It was a low-budget indie film.
Man, I snuck through the back window to get the money out of his pants. Just when I was gonna get the money, little crackhead Ezel come running through the window and woke him up.
Nobody expected it to explode into a cultural touchstone. Tucker was a relatively unknown comedian, taking a chance on his first major film role. That $10,000 would turn out to be the best investment in his career. Within a few years, Tucker would be commanding $20 million per film for the Rush Hour franchise, making him one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood. But when it came time to make Next Friday in 2000, something strange happened. Smokey was gone, and the real reason why would remain a mystery for years. A mystery involving money, religion, and a feud most fans never knew existed. Fact 11. The real reason Chris Tucker didn't return for Next Friday is more complicated than you think. Ask anyone why Chris Tucker didn't return for Next Friday, and you'll hear the same answer. He became a Christian and didn't want to smoke weed or curse on camera anymore. That's true. But it's not the whole truth. Ice Cube has said they offered Tucker between $10 and $12 million to return for the sequel, an astronomical jump from his original $10,000 payday. Tucker turned it down, citing his newfound faith. He said he felt uncomfortable representing and encouraging weed culture. Tucker himself confirmed this, saying he wasn't interested in doing sequels anyway. He wanted to do good work and move on to new challenges. John Witherspoon had his own theory. The preachers got to him, but he also joked that Tucker was about to make $20 million per movie for Rush Hour, so why would he come back? All of these reasons are valid.
Door.
All right, man.
Hey! You kids, quit slamming my goddamn door! Damn!
But there's another layer most fans never discovered, a hidden conflict that suggests the split wasn't as amicable as everyone pretended. Fact 12. There was a secret feud between Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. Phase on Love, Big Worm, hinted that there was a rift between Ice Cube and Chris Tucker after the first movie. But what was it about? The answer is hidden in plain sight, in Next Friday itself. There's a line early in the sequel that references people trying to take credit for writing the original script. On the surface, It seems like a throwaway joke, but many believe it was a direct shot at Chris Tucker from Ice Cube. Here's why. Tucker improvised so many of his famous lines in Friday. His spontaneous genius helped make the movie what it was, but the script, the foundation, the characters, the story, that was Ice Cube's creation, his baby. Did Tucker start feeling like he deserved more credit for the movie's success? Did Cube feel like Tucker was diminishing his role as writer and creator? We may never know the full truth, but this conflict over creative ownership may have been the real reason their partnership ended. It wasn't just about religion or money, it was about respect, about who built what, and that kind of wound doesn't heal easily. Which brings us to one of the most heartbreaking facts about the Friday franchise. Fact 13, by Felicia, became a curse for the actress who played her. For Angela Means, playing Felicia should have been a career-defining moment. Instead, it became a source of pain for years. Means was a serious actress who created an entire backstory for Felicia. She imagined her as a kind but troubled woman, misunderstood by her family and neighbors. She brought depth to what could have been a throwaway role. But when By Felicia exploded into a cultural phenomenon, a meme before memes even existed, something dark happened. People started harassing her in public. Strangers would yell insults at her on the street, calling her the names from the movie. The line that made her famous also brought her years of emotional pain. She felt dismissed, disrespected, reduced to a punchline. Think about that. You create a character with love and intention, and the world turns it into a way to insult and dismiss people, including you. Today, Means has found healing in an unexpected place. She runs a successful vegan restaurant called Jackfruit Cafe. She's reclaiming Felicia's legacy, transforming her from a punchline into a symbol of resilience and second chances. But the pain inflicted by fame would strike the Friday family in even more devastating ways. Fact 14. 4 beloved cast members have died since Friday's release. If you love Friday, this is the part that hurts. 4 legends from that iconic cast are no longer with us. John Witherspoon, Pops, died in 2019 from a heart attack at age 77. Before Friday, he was a stand-up comedy legend who performed alongside Richard Pryor and David Letterman in the 60s and 70s. His deadpan delivery and perfect timing made every single one of his scenes memorable. You got knocked the F-bomb out. Wasn't just a line. It was a Witherspoon masterclass. Tommy Tiny Lister Jr. Debo died in 2020 at age 62 from cardiovascular disease. Before acting, he was a college shot put champion and a professional wrestler who feuded with Hulk Hogan. Born blind in his right eye, that unique look made him both intimidating and unforgettable. Ice Cube called him America's favorite bully, a man who could terrify you on screen and make you laugh off screen. Bernie Mac, Pastor Clever, died in 2008 at only 50 years old from complications of sarcoidosis, an autoimmune disease. Mac had a brutal childhood and was inspired to become a comedian after watching his cancer-stricken mother laugh at Bill Cosby on TV. He vowed she would never have to cry again, and he kept that promise through laughter. His brief appearance in Friday helped launch him towards superstardom with the original Kings of Comedy and his own beloved sitcom.
But yeah, Sister Jones in? Nope. Neither's Brother Jones. They both at work.
Anthony A.J. Johnson, Ezal, died in 2021 at age 55 from multi-system organ failure after years of chronic alcohol use. Johnson was a stand-up comedian who brought manic energy to every role. Ice Cube expressed deep regret that he never got to bring Ezal back for one final movie. 4 empty chairs, 4 irreplaceable voices, gone. And for the survivors, the weight of these losses is profound.
Come on, man. You bought me 40 ounces for my birthday. Today your birthday? What's today?
Fact 15. Regina King lost her only son in 2022. Regina King, Craig's sister Dana, became one of the most celebrated actresses in Hollywood after Friday. 4 Emmy Awards, an Oscar for If Beale Street Could Talk, a respected director, success beyond measure. But in 2022, tragedy struck. Her only son, Ian Alexander Jr., died by suicide at age 26. King has spoken with heartbreaking honesty about her grief, calling it a love that has no place to go. Imagine achieving everything professionally, winning every award, and then losing the person who mattered most. This is the reality behind the fame. Behind the red carpets and standing ovations, these are real people with real pain. Regina King's loss reminds us that no amount of success protects you from life's deepest sorrows. And speaking of unexpected pain, there's one cast member whose story might surprise you most. Fact 16. Ice Cube's real name and background shaped Friday's authenticity. O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's real name, wasn't just playing a character when he wrote Craig. He was channeling his own experiences growing up in South Central Los Angeles. Born in 1969, Cube came from a working-class family. His father worked as a groundskeeper at UCLA, and his mother was a hospital clerk. They weren't rich, but they weren't the gangsters Hollywood always portrayed either. They were regular people trying to make it. The nickname Ice Cube came from a childhood moment. His older brother once threatened to put him in a freezer until he turned into an ice cube.
I don't even talk with all the horses missing their hair around
Oh,
here.
here you go.
Too early.
It's too early.
That playful family moment became one of the most recognizable names in hip-hop history. What's fascinating is that Cube started writing raps in 9th grade after a friend challenged him during typing class. Think about that. A typing class competition led to one of the greatest careers in hip-hop and film. He met Dr. Dre soon after and started performing at parties, eventually becoming the main writer for NWA. But after a bitter dispute over money, Cube left the group and launched his controversial solo career. That experience of being undervalued, of fighting for what he created, it would repeat itself decades later with Friday. Every struggle Cube faced, every betrayal, every moment of triumph, it all fed into making Friday feel real, because it was real. He lived it. Fact 17. F. Gary Gray's director debut changed multiple careers. Here's something most people overlook. Friday was director F. Gary Gray's first feature film. Before Friday, Gray had only directed music videos. But what music videos they were. He'd directed Ice Cube's video for It Was a Good Day, which perfectly captured the laid-back vibe that would later define Friday. That video was essentially a test run for the movie's tone and style. Gray was only 25 years old when he directed Friday, 25, running a film set with established actors, managing a tight budget, and dealing with studio pressure, all before his 26th birthday. His vision for Friday was specific. He wanted it to feel documentary style, like you were actually sitting on that porch watching real life unfold. No fancy camera tricks, no artificial Hollywood gloss, just authentic storytelling.
The rise and subsequent fall of the seminal rap group that changed history.
That choice worked. Friday launched Gray into a massive directing career. He went on to direct The Italian Job, Straight Outta Compton, and multiple Fast and Furious films. But it all started with a porch, a day, and a belief that everyday life deserved cinematic treatment. Gray's success proves that Friday wasn't just lucky. It was carefully crafted by people who knew exactly what they were doing, even if Hollywood didn't recognize their talent yet. Fact 18. Ice Cube fought a 20-year war to make the final Friday movie. For over 2 decades, fans begged for one more Friday movie. For over 2 decades, Ice Cube had to say no. Why? Because the franchise was being held hostage. DJ Pooh revealed that a movie executive was blocking the final film. Ice Cube was in a brutal public battle with Warner Brothers over the rights to the characters he created. The studio owned Friday, the world, the characters, everything. And Cube felt they didn't understand or respect what the franchise meant. Imagine that. You create something from your life, your neighborhood, your memories, and a corporation controls whether it lives or dies. Cube refused to make a final film under Warner Brothers' creative control. He wanted the rights back so he could do it his way. It was a classic David versus. Goliath battle, an artist fighting a giant corporation for ownership of his own creation. For 20 years, it seemed like a losing battle. The dream of Last Friday was dying in corporate boardrooms and legal meetings. Fans gave up hope. Then, in 2024, something changed. Fact 19. Last Friday is finally happening, and Chris Tucker is expected to return. New leadership arrived at Warner Brothers. Suddenly, there was movement. Real, actual movement. In 2025, the news broke. A deal was officially closed. Ice Cube would write and star in the fourth and final film officially titled Last Friday. But wait, it gets better. Faison Love confirmed the news fans never thought they'd hear. After decades of holding out,
We could kick it, but I forgot I had to go pick up my mom from work, and you know how that is.
Chris Tucker is expected to return to the franchise. Smokey is coming back. After all the money disputes, religious concerns, and hidden feuds, after 25 years, Craig and Smokey will be back on that porch together. Ice Cube's two-decade war is finally over. He won, but the reunion will be bittersweet in ways that break your heart. Fact 20. Last Friday will be a tribute to the legends we lost. When the cast reunites for Last Friday, there will be empty spaces at the table. No Pops to complain about the bills. No Debo to terrorize the neighborhood. No Easel to steal bicycles. No Pastor Clever to deliver hilariously inappropriate sermons. John Witherspoon, Tiny Lister, A.J. Johnson, Bernie Mac, all gone. The final film will have to honor their memories while telling a new story. How do you continue a franchise when so many irreplaceable pieces are missing? How do you celebrate without the people who made it special? Last Friday won't just be a comedy. It will be a memorial, a love letter, a final goodbye to the legends who made us laugh but couldn't stay to see the ending. Closing reflection. Friday changed how Hollywood viewed black comedies. 28:15 to 29:45. Before Friday, Hollywood had a narrow view of black stories, dramas about struggle, tragedies about violence, comedies that relied on broad stereotypes. Friday did something radical. It showed everyday life as inherently funny. No gimmicks, no caricatures, just real people in a real neighborhood on a regular day where the biggest crisis is owing $200 to a weed dealer. It proved that black audiences wanted to see themselves laughing, not just crying or fighting. It showed that these stories had commercial value without compromise. The movie's influence is everywhere now. From Atlanta to Insecure to The Last OG, we see Friday's DNA in shows that present black life as complex, funny, and real. Ice Cube didn't just make a comedy, he changed the blueprint. He proved that you didn't need to choose between authenticity and success. You could have both if you were willing to fight for it. And fight he did, for 30 years. Remember how we started? Friday was born from anger, from frustration at how the world saw South Central Los Angeles. Ice Cube and DJ Pooh didn't set out to make a hit movie. They set out to correct a narrative, to show their neighborhood, their home, as a place where people laughed, loved, struggled, and survived. Not just a war zone, not just tragedy, but a community full of life. Against all odds, credit card backup plans, studio demands, casting disasters, a tiny budget, and only 20 days to shoot, they succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. Friday didn't just entertain millions. It changed how millions saw South Central. It gave a generation their own humor, their own references, their own cultural touchstone. But here's what hits different now. The mission succeeded, but at a cost. Hidden feuds tore friendships apart. Fame became a burden for some. Death claimed too many too soon. And the very success of Friday locked its creator out of his own creation for 2 decades. Now, as Last Friday finally approaches, we're about to complete a journey that started on a porch in 1995. A journey filled with laughter and loss, success and struggle, joy and heartbreak. Craig and Smokey will be back, but Pops won't answer the door. Debo won't roll up on his bike. Easel won't steal anything. And we'll feel their absence in every frame. That's the real story of Friday. The story most fans never knew. From Chris Tucker's disastrous audition to Angela Mean's years of harassment. From Ice Cube's 20-year war with Warner Brothers to the heartbreaking losses that changed everything, Friday made us laugh. But behind the laughter was sacrifice, struggle, and a fight for respect that's still ongoing. The next time you watch Friday, remember, every joke had a cost. Every line carries history. And that porch in South Central? It was never just a set. It was a mission statement. Friday showed us it was possible to have a good day in the hood. And sometimes, that revolutionary act of joy is worth fighting for, even if it takes 30 years to finish the story. Rest in power to the legends we lost. And welcome home, Smokey. We've been waiting for you. What's your favorite Friday memory? Drop it in the comments. And if you learned something new today, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories behind your favorite movies. Until next time, stay blessed, stay grateful, and remember, every day above ground is a good day.